everyone, and welcome to our knowledge transfer series. My name's John Erickson again, and we have our intern.
Braden. Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Today, especially if you're going to train someone new in the financial services industry, you need to understand the economics of how you make money in this industry. And actually, this is really important even for consumers because, you know, if you can understand how financial professionals make money, which you really should understand this, you can understand conflicts of interest. You can understand actually problems with the industry. I would argue a lot of problems with especially the life insurance industry is around how compensation is derived. So, you know, what we're going to do today is you and I are going to talk through a case of how compensation works.
Yeah.
Sound fun?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, but before that, as always, we have our standard disclosure statement. You know, today's information is general in nature. You know, you can't treat any of this as 100% fact, you know, day one. Everyone's situation is going to be different. But now that we've gotten past the general disclosure case, let's talk about a little life insurance you've been working on recently.
Yeah, so I've been working with Rob a lot on term life insurance. And
okay.
He's been talking with me about how the commissions work, so how he gets paid on selling those policies. And so if we do like a basic case, like let's say we had a policy that was $1,000 for a year annually.
So I'm going to pay $1,000 a year for life insurance.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
In this case. So for Rob, he usually, it depends on the company obviously, but let's say we're working with like Banner. They do, so they have a $64 policy fee. I believe $64 policy fee.
Okay, so you have $1,000, you can charge $64 from it. Okay.
Right, and so then you do 1,000 minus 64, and that's $936.
Cool.
And then, so now it's where it gets a little tricky because it kind of depends on how long the term is for the next portion of it, because they'll pay you different percentages of the
commission.
Commission, yeah, for based off how long it is. So
like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30.
So
okay.
They'll pay you a little bit more percentage if it's a longer term because they're getting more money out of that. So let's go with 70%. Usually is what they probably are going to be around for like a 10-year term.
Okay.
So if you have 936 times 0.7, you get 655.20. And so Rob does a lot of work with other agents, other people who give him referrals, and a lot of the times he'll split the commission with them 50-50.
Well, let's pause there. So this is something called street commission you've done so far, right?
Correct, yeah.
So that means that if you go sign up with an insurance company, this is what they're going to pay the average person. But we get paid something more than that, right?
Yeah, because we also get override.
Perfect. So we'll talk about those two differences, but we're still concentrating street commission. So Rob splits a lot of cases with people 50-50 because they refer to him, he does the work,
right?
And he splits 50-50 with them, okay?
Yeah, so in this case, you have your 655.20, and you have to divide that by 2, and then that would be how much you'd get for just the street commission on how much Rob would get, or in this case, in the street commission, would be $327.60.
And this is for a 10-year term?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you basically one of the lower commission products, and you're saying the all-in street comp is how much?
$327.60, and
that's for half of it. So really,
this is also not the big. Like this is a decent sized policy. It's on the very smaller side, I would say. So it's not.
Well, let's pause there real quick.
It's not super small. $1,000 a year is not nothing. It's just not necessarily the most expensive you could get.
Sure, but let's talk about that. So you found a client who wants to spend $1,000 a month on life insurance, and
for the year.
A year.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that for you to spend the expense to travel to talk to them, you make at most $655, or even half of that for a referral.
Right.
Doesn't seem like very much money.
No, not at all. That's why you have to get a big network, a lot of people.
So you got to do a lot of cases at a time.
Correct.
I mean, even if you did 10 of those a month, right? It's maybe at most $6,500. That doesn't really make it in Bellevue.
No.
Where we are.
Not at all.
All right, cool. So we got the street commission there. You got the split there if you're working with another agent.
Right.
What's this override thing? What's this other piece?
So I'm not fully certain like what override is, but from my understanding, the insurance companies will pay override to the agents because they're getting them more clients and more work.
Okay.
And that's my understanding of it. If you could explain it a little better, that'd be...
Sure. So I own an agency. I primarily am a financial planner at this point, primarily doing retirement planning. But half of our business is, if you're talking about Rob, we own an agency. And for companies to get access to our agents or have us promote their clients, one of the things they do behind the scenes is they pay extra money to the agency called an override or a bonus. There's lots of different terms there, but that's basically what it is. And that's money we make directly. So even though you're making $655,
right.
How much are we making in an override example?
Usually about 48%.
48%.
Oh, minus the policy fee from the.
Okay, so what's 48% of that $1,000?
So from the $936, because you gave rid of the policy fee, and then it's $449.28. So then you add that with the original street commission, and you get $776.88 for just this one. So
$449 I make as the agency. So if you write life insurance, you split it to anyone else, you do anything else, I'm gonna make $449, and how much do you make?
$327.60, but then total will be $776.88.
Okay, that's not bad. But that's if you got the override. But I'm the agency. You're not the agency, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So I'm getting that extra money. So how much are you making again? If
$327.
$327. Yeah. So I'm actually making more than you by just having the contracts, and pretty crappy. And even if you got the full commission, $655, you have to find the clients, you have to work with them, you have to figure things out. And I'm making close to 60% what you're making, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things you'll find in financial services, which is true for a lot of agents, in fact, there's this thing called street commission and this thing called override. And the agencies themselves make a lot of money on the overrides, and you got to figure out where you fit in that mix. But on the other side of the equation, interesting thing, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the overhead to have this office, the rent of the building,
exactly, yeah.
we need 10 to 15 of those policies a month, every month, just to pay rent, let alone anything else. I don't make a dime until we do like 20 plus. Right? So volume matters. So this is term life insurance, right? And I asked you to run a quote for me the other day. It was on a 34-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Basic, solid life insurance case. Do you remember how much the annual premium was?
It was like $2,000 something. No.
$701.
$701. Okay.
So think about that case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's lower. Smaller, yeah. That's even smaller, and that's a good that's $1 million of term life insurance.
And I think it came out around like you make like $500 with override and street commission or something close like that. It wasn't a lot.
So I know that you're a dumb college student.
Yeah.
No, you're a smart one. But let's assume you graduate and you want to pay rent. You want to maybe date someone or go have fun. How much do you really need to make? And we're in the Bellevue area. It's pretty expensive in Bellevue, Washington. How much do you need to make a year?
I mean, for me, it probably I don't need a lot right now, especially coming out of college. But it's so expensive. I would like to make like $80K, hopefully, coming out of college. But that isn't like a crazy amount around here, especially. No. Like that's not much. So,
right. That's what we call almost minimum wage now. The way they keep raising that. Right. So how many life insurance cases is that for you to make $80K?
Well,
based upon that math.
So let's just say that they're all kind of around this size. And I just did like 80,000, and then we'll divide that by the 775. So it'd be at least 103 cases a year, which is
103 a year. Damn.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So it means what, 2 a week roughly?
Oh yeah.
So you got to do 2 life insurance cases a week. Have $1,000, and every time you have a small one, counts against you, right? You have to do even more.
Exactly, and this is like a decent sized one too, so it's not like that small.
Right, it's not that small, right? So one of the biggest problems I find in the life insurance industry, especially setting up young people like you, and this is why this is a good in view of the overall financial services industry, is I would argue you would starve if all you were doing was selling life insurance.
Yeah.
Finding 100 plus clients you have to have a robust distribution network to do that, right? We do probably 400 to 500 life insurance cases a year through our office, basically.
Yeah.
And that's with a big distribution network built upon buying an agency that had past distribution.
Right.
Right. So I don't see an individual doing that. How do we make this math work in your favor? Or what is the conflicts of interest the industry is going to put on you? Because there's actually a problem in the industry, I would argue. So if we ran this exact same quote, $1 million on a 44 or 54-year-old, how much does it cost? Do you know?
It would be, I'm not sure the exact amount, but it would definitely go up a lot. Like, when you raise the age of a person, especially as they get closer and closer to, like, dying, and it's a term policy, that the insurance companies are going to just jack up those rates because they're aware that you're getting closer to death. You're trying to get some money out of it.
So it might be double or triple, right? So for
exactly.
every person, if you could target your marketing on, say, 44-year-olds or 54-year-olds who still need life insurance for whatever reason, you could make you would need to sell relatively less cases.
Yeah.
Right. So now that's talking about targeted marketing, right? It's not just marketing the fact you have life insurance. It's deliberately targeting a market that has the economics that work in your favor. The other way we do it in the industry, and this is actually, I think, a problem. What if we focused on more expensive insurance?
Well, I mean, you mean whole life or?
Yeah, like whole life, universal life, index life, variable universal life.
I mean, as an agent, it's nice because you make more money and stuff, but at the same time, it's not always better for the client in their scenario. So
Sure.
It's kind of tough decision to make. Because on one hand, it could benefit them, but a lot of the time the math just isn't in their favor.
Yeah.
When they're paying that much in premiums every year, and then gotta get the money later on. So.
Well,
with inflation and all that too, it's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. No, you got it dead to rights. And so let's talk about a $10,000 a year permanent life policy. So if you sold one of these, or you sold 12 of these a year,
right?
We call this getting rich in your calculator. Just sell one of these a month, you'll be fine. $10,000 a year, right? Go find someone who's willing to drop up that check. People do, but it's not that simple. For you to make the economics work, you might try and do that.
Yeah.
But it might be more in your favor than the client's, right? You might be pushing more expensive products because you will literally starve based upon that economics, right? It's a big conflict of interest for term life insurance.
Totally.
But, let's go back to some history. Like, we're going to talk way back in the day. Your great-grandparents didn't have access to mutual funds.
Yeah.
They didn't have access to ETFs. They didn't have IRAs or 401ks. Historically in this country, one of the major ways you could save for retirement and protect your family because life expectancy was lower is you'd buy whole life insurance.
Right.
And I would argue there would be a whole life insurance agent on every street corner in the 50s. Where are they today?
Not there.
They're starving to death.
Yeah.
They died. At this point, they starved to death and died. Now, there are still appropriate cases for permanent life insurance, but when I've talked to you this concept before that I make people prove to me they're the right person before I even talk about permanent life insurance, because term life insurance typically is so much better off.
Yeah.
And the way we can do investing now is so much more robust and so much more efficient for someone that this idea of buying term and invest the difference, as long as you actually do invest the difference, which people don't always do, is actually probably a superior model. It's more flexible, it's cheaper, it typically gives a better result. And all those permanent life insurance people, they're gone.
Yeah.
So, one of the questions is, okay, you've seen this math here, right? And we started training you on life insurance, but I knew this math day one. I've been in this industry a long time.
Yep.
If I had you go out there and only sell life insurance, you'd fail, probably. If you could join in an agency like this and actually take over, you could get an ownership spot, you can get bigger distribution, you could probably make it. But if you were just to be a basic person trying to make the math work, and this is why the failure rate of life insurance agents is so high, you'd probably starve. Like as a side gig,
yeah,
cool.
Totally. It's so hard to get people. Distribution's the hardest part.
Distribution's the hardest part. So, but on the other side of the spectrum, I wouldn't turn my nose up at $650 every once in a while.
Yeah.
Right? And especially if you're helping someone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you could help someone, that's a good component.
Totally, yeah.
So, for you have to figure out where that math's going to be for you personally, and where you want to go in this industry. Because you can see clear conflicts of interest around starvation, right?
Yeah.
You can see, all the challenges of trying to make the math work in your favor, because term life insurance does not pay enough money to you. And when we talk about trying to get 104 clients a year, where do the majority of people get their life insurance now? Through work.
Yeah, true. Their companies will give it to them. Yeah.
Right. A lot of the companies give it to them.
I mean, both my parents have that, so yeah.
Right. And so that's a big challenge, right? Because now we have to have the argument of why would someone take the time and effort? Because time and effort means a lot to certain people.
Right.
To buy life insurance outside of work when they already have it there, even if it might be slightly better to buy it outside of work. Are you gonna take the time to do it, or are you gonna go deal with your kids? I know what I'm gonna do.
Right.
So, understanding the economics of what you're doing is, I think, critical. And any person who's looking at joining this industry, I think, really needs to understand the economics of these sales. What else did you learn from this? Anything interesting?
Honestly, yeah, I think it's pretty interesting how you can really just look at a calculator and see, oh, if I sell this many, I'll get this rich. But at the end of the day, it's like you got to actually go out and do it, and it's a big. I think it kind of causes people to kind of like look into how much they need to do rather than just focusing on getting better at their actual work and learning how to sell to people and stuff like that. I don't know.
If you could hit 30 home runs a year,
right? You
could make $30 million a year. You'll get a big Major League Baseball contract. Just go hit 30 home runs a year.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
Exactly.
Easy to get rich in your calculator. Good call. Well, anything else you want to add to this, or should we wrap this one up?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it. This is another good one. What we're going to go from here is we're going to start diving into the financial planning side going on the next ones, right?
I'm excited.
Cool. All right. Well, then, it's me, John Erickson. I'm going to sign off. And
this is Braden. Thank you.
And this is his journey. So hopefully you're getting something from these videos as you are, basically.
Yep, totally.